Cambridge has really been a big part of my life. I grew up here as a dancer, back in the 80s, studying with Agier Passos and Clay Douglas and people at the Dance Complex, and actually the Joy of Movement before the Dance Complex. I began teaching at the Dance Complex, Middle Eastern Belly Dance, in 1993. I've seen a lot of small mom-and-pop businesses leave Central Square, and I'm starting to see that more. There was this labor bookstore that used to be where Starbucks is. As a dance instructor, there's certainly a lot more competition now. There's a lot. When I started, there were very few Middle Eastern dance teachers, and our communities they split into two main branches and different styles. So there's more competition. So that means there's fewer people in my classes, which makes it different economically, and the rent has gone up. So that makes it different economically. So I think.
Hey everyone, it's Kim Brown-Jefferson here of FabFit TV. I would like to, it's been a while, it's been a great summer, and I hope you guys have been having an amazing summer, even though it's a little hot as Hades outside today. But I'm going to take it because soon enough I will be complaining about the cold. So for those of you guys who are new to me, I help women to break free of the diet mindset so they can live a life of balance, peace, and harmony when it comes to diet and exercise. And so today, this is a topic that is like totally here in my heart. And I know a lot of people struggle with this. And so one of the things I want to, just hit it right on the head is self-doubt. And I've seen so many people spiral out of control when it comes to, that fear of failure, the fear of, it's not going to be right. I'm not going to be perfect. And I see so many people do that, and it just makes me like, crazy on the inside. And so what I want you to start thinking that it's never too late to believe in yourself. And the biggest thing is, if you don't believe in yourself, it's really hard for other people to kind of buy into you, right? And one of the things or buy into you on a regular basis, because if you become, we've all watched the movies or read the book, Winnie the Pooh, and Eeyore, the character, that the sky is always falling. And if you're that negative Nelly, it's really hard for me or anyone to be like, you can do it. So what I want to do is, it's really easy sometimes to reach that point where you're just like, life is what it is. And for all intents and purposes, there are things that it is what it is, right? I can't control that soon enough when I wake up in the morning, it's going to be dark outside. That's just how nature works. I can't control that I'm supposed to drive on the right-hand side of the road versus the left-hand side of the road. So those are things that I give concessions to. Where there are other things that, it might not be it is what it is. And one of the philosophies, I guess there's two philosophies that I have about life, is that anything is possible. And, if you've been watching the show for a while, that came true, like, to me from the Red Sox winning the World Series in 2004. Because after 86 years of believing that you could do it again, it just proves to me that anything's possible, right? The same thing with the Patriots. Patriots won the World Series in 2001. And they were always, multiple times runner-up, but never the prom queen. And so here's where I want to say, it's possible for you to be the prom queen, even if you're not in high school. So, and the other thing that also I see happen is that you decide that, this is what you want. And you're like, I'm going for it. This is what I want. I see it in my mind's eye. And then you start taking the steps towards it. And then you get to a certain point that you freak right out. Like epic freak out. You're like, OMG, I can't believe I'm doing this. Wow. And you just lose it, right? You just lose it. And you kind of just find ways to not do it. You find ways to, you know, fall on your sword, if you will. Just a second. There was something in my purse that I wanted to make sure I had on screen. Ooh. So I apologize for that. That is the beauty and the curse of live TV. So, and it's really easy to want to sabotage. And, you know, we've all seen it. You know, some sabotage is very subtle. And some sabotage, it's ugly. It's big in your face and it's ugly. So let's get started. Like, where do you start? You know, if you have these feelings, and we all do, you know, there's certain things that push us right out of our comfort zone, and we all have those feelings. And so I want you to know that you're not alone, right? It's just a matter of where you are on that scale of comfort, you know? Is it here's where you freak out, or here where you freak out? We all have that freak out zone. So what I want to start to focus on is when you kind of feel you're in that spot, what do? How do you bust yourself out of the freak out zone? So first thing, just get prepared, right? Just decide what's it going to take to not have you freak out? Is it schooling? Is it tools? Is it a coach? What is that thing that's going to keep you, or things, or people, or tools that's going to keep you from hitting that freak out button? And what do you need to do? What can you do to either mentally prepare, physically prepare for the journey you're about to go on, for the goals that you are about to hit? And then one of the big things, and I've been kind of, you know, talking about this a lot, is when we decide to do something, we want it to be this like huge kind of like Macy's Day, Thanksgiving Day parade, that it's going to be this amazing thing. And the one thing I have to say, success is boring. Super boring. Success is the monotony. It's the mundane. It's just doing the one thing after another, after another, after another, right? So instead of saying that, I know I say a lot of sports analogies, but they work. That's why I use them. So baseball. Every time a batter goes up to bat, he is not always going to hit a home run. It's lovely if he does hit a home run, but it doesn't always happen, right? So when the people who do the stats on what baseball players are doing, the best players that teams want are the players who always get up to bat and they just make connection with the ball and they get to first base. That is a valuable player, because if you get to first base, you have a shot of scoring, right? I only have 3 other bases to hit. So what I'm saying is that instead of saying I'm going to hit a home run when you're starting down this particular path, what if you say, what is your first step? So my jam is diet and exercise. So instead of saying I'm going to work out 7 days a week and I'm giving up sugar, I'm giving up gluten, I'm giving up, you know, late night snacking, and I'm going to bed every night and getting 8 hours of sleep, what if instead you said, I'm just going to make sure that I have breakfast. That's my sole focus. I'm going to make sure I have breakfast. And so that when I get to having breakfast simple, then I can say, okay, what else can I add on? What else I can add on? And so you're taking these small baby steps so that you're not trying to like sprint to the finish line. Because what I do know is that any change that you want to make isn't about sprinting to the finish line. any change that you want to make is, you know, it's a it's a series of things. I want you to think about a house. You know, when someone builds a house, they create a foundation. So what does your foundation look like? And then you say, okay, then I'm going to build the next level. Then I'm going to bring the next level. I'm going to bring the next level. Because if I start trying to build the roof and my foundation is crappy, you know what's going to happen. Everything's going to crumble down, and then you're going to get back into that vicious cycle of like, I suck, why am I trying to do this, blah, 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 right? We've been there, done that, and guess what? You're off that merry-go-round. Here's where you say, you put the stake in the ground and say, I'm getting off of that merry-go-round. So the other thing is, you know, when you have these small goals, it makes you more confident, because when I nailed breakfast, I'm like, all right, what else can I do? I'm starting to feel excited. I'm starting to feel powerful. And the more excited and more powerful I feel, guess what? I'm more motivated to do it. And so many people say to me, I just don't have any motivation. Well, the motivation to try to, you know, bring on world peace, and peace in the Middle East, and all the, you know, you're picking the big rocks. I'm saying pick your small rocks, because if you think about, have you ever seen like if you think about like a vase, and I just, as I'm, you know, racking up all of my small goals, I put a pebble in, and slowly I fill up that vase, right? And versus me running around trying to find huge rocks to fill the vase, because just because I get there faster doesn't make it better. Ponder that. Because so many people, you know, I always say, when you're trying to do anything, why do you have to get there fast? You know, unless you're having a heart attack and getting to the hospital fast, it's important. But if I'm trying to lose weight, I'm trying to, you know, get a new job, all of these things. Some of these things don't have to happen like this. The other thing that happens is that when I'm getting frustrated and things aren't happening fast enough, I always tell my clients, you have to drop into gratitude. Now, when I first heard that, I was like, I roll, well, you have no, what are you talking about? And then the more I started to do research, the more I started to hear more about it, it made me think to myself that when I'm grateful for the things that I have, then it's opening me up to receive more. All right, so that was like a little heady, right? So if you think about it, if someone gives you a gift, someone shows up on your doorstep and they say, here, Susie, here's this beautiful gift. And if I say to the person who's giving me the gift, I'm Susie, I don't want that. That's a crappy gift. Ugh. How likely is that person to want to give me another gift? Probably not very likely wanting to give me another gift. So I ask you, if you are making small progress. So true story. So a client of mine, she's, you know, relatively new to me. And, you know, she's been taking her baby steps and she's been doing the work, but things aren't going as fast as she'd like them to go. And, you know, she was all in a tizzy and she's like, I've only lost 1 pound. I've only lost 1 inch. It's just crap. Well, is it? Is it crap? If I were to drop into gratitude, I would say, look at me. I had the ability to lose 1 pound. I had the ability to lose 1 inch. I have the use of my legs. I have the ability to choose that this is the life that I want to lead. I have the ability to choose that I want to choose to be healthy versus unhealthy. So do you see where it's going? Instead of complaining about what I don't have, I'm starting to think about all the amazing things that I do have. And when you think about all the amazing things that you do have, more great things that will come to you because you've shifted the way you see the world, right? And so one of the biggest mindset shifts that I can tell people is that when you start looking for the opportunity, where before that conversation, she was looking for the poop on the carpet. She was looking for, when it comes to getting healthy and fit, there is no silver bullet. I really wish there was. There is no silver bullet, because if there was a silver bullet, I would be one rich lady, but I am not. So with that said, it's taking the steps by steps by steps. It's like if I was traveling to California, I can't not drive through, and I'm in Boston, mind you. There's no way that I can't drive through any part of Massachusetts to get west. So I either have to go all the way across Massachusetts, I have to go south of Massachusetts, but I have to drive through Massachusetts. So it's me saying, I want to get to California, but I don't want to do anything in Massachusetts. It's impossible. So I want you to think about, when I drop into gratitude, it gives me that peace that I'm doing the right thing. And then when I set that small goal, so that's what's giving me the building blocks, right? The building blocks for me to not, beat myself up and call myself a loser and give up, because that's what happens. You have that 2-year-old tantrum and then you just shut yourself off. And the other thing I see a lot is that when you set this big, hairy, audacious goal, you sometimes get overwhelmed because you're looking at all the things that you could do. You could go left, you could go right, you go up, you go down, you go backwards, you could turn it all around. Do the hokey pokey. But you have to take one step. And so what I always encourage my clients is, what's the easiest step? What's the step that's not going to scare the bejesus out of you? What's the step that you know that you can do it and you can knock it out of the park? Because when you can do that and you can knock it out of the park, again, it goes back to motivation. When you start hitting goals, you start nailing it, you're like, hey, look at me. And you keep going and you keep going, you keep going, you keep going. I liken it to when kids first start to walk, right? When kids first start to walk, they kind of wibble and wobble like a drunken sailor. And we say, oh, isn't that cute? Well, when you start something new, why can't you wibble and wobble like a drunken sailor? Why can't that be cute? And think about the grace and the space you give to that child when they're learning to walk. You're like, oh, look at little Johnny. He's doing such a good job. Why can't you say that to yourself? Why can't you be your own cheerleader when it comes to this stuff? Why can't you say, hey, I'm doing the best I can? And, whenever any of my clients get spun up around this stuff, I always say, one of the things I do when I brush my teeth at night, I look at myself in the mirror and I say, what did I do great today? And there's always something. It could be the simplest thing, right? It could be something that changed someone's life. Or it could be, hey, I didn't want to get out of bed this morning, but I got out of bed and I went to the gym. But it's always ask myself, what did I do great? And then I also ask myself, what could I change? But I say it from a space of constructive criticism, not from a space of I'm going to beat the crap out of myself because I didn't do and just list all the things that I sucked at today. And that's how, you start to get into action. So you start looking for those opportunities. You start saying to yourself, well, I was supposed to go to the gym for 30 minutes, but I overslept, so I didn't really get enough time. So tomorrow I'm going to make sure that I set my alarm 15 minutes earlier, so then that way I can truly get out of bed and have that full 30 minutes that I want to go for whatever, go for the walk or whatever you're doing. Or, I didn't, pre-make my lunch, so I want to make sure tonight I'm going to get home early enough so that I could pre-make my lunch for the night before. So do you see where I'm going with this? Where it's like I'm finding constructive ways to change something that I wish I would have done that day. And ultimately, this should have been number one when we were talking, is you have to find your why. And I've talked about this before. But you have to decide what your goal is and why you want it. Because when I can tie the goal to the why is what is going to keep you moving when things get hard. And, I'm not saying things will always get hard, but there's always going to be that, angel devil moment, right? That here's what you should do, but here's what that temptation is telling you to do. And the why is what pops up in your head, that voice of reason that tells you why you should be going towards that straight and narrow, and like, want you to connect to it. Like, I want you to like feel it and see it. I have a woman that I know that she conducts dream sessions, and during these dream sessions, her main focus is getting you to think about what you want, right? Dream. And, anything's possible. There's nothing, outrageous, nothing off limits. It's just you focusing in on your dream. And one of the things that she says after it is that, you map out this beautiful life, this beautiful, life, like, living your best life, right? And then she says, well, why? Right? You've fantasized, and she says, well, why do you want it? And because when I can connect to that why in my dream, I'm more likely to start to say, your brain's more likely to say, okay, there was some good stuff on this list. Let's figure out a way to get this going. Let's figure out a way for us to actually step into this dream. So I want you to really think about, as you're trying to go for it, why? Why do you want this? And, I think it's Jim Rohn. I think Jim Rohn said this. You are the sum of the 5 people you surround yourself with. And if you are surrounding yourself with people who are Eeyores, then you're going to continually be an Eeyore. But if you're surrounding yourself with people who are always looking at what's possible, what is, nothing is off limits, could be your possible dream, then guess what? You're going to start thinking like they think. They're going to encourage you to think like they think. And nothing is going to be off limits for you. I heard this story a long time ago, and I was just reminded of it a few days ago. And I don't know if you've ever seen live crabs. And, most people, like, when they go crabbing, crabbing, they put all the crabs in a bucket. They catch the crabs and toss it in a bucket. And there's always a handful of crabs that are like, I'm not going out like this. I'm not living in this bucket. And they start to try to climb out. And then the other crabs literally take their claws and pull them down. And if you have if you're that crab that's trying to get out of that bucket, and you have people that grab your claws and pull you down, I want you to get out of the bucket and move those crabs away. Because you need to be with people who are not going to pull you down. You need people who are going to boost you up. Another phrase that I have a friend that says, you want to hang out with balcony people, not basement people, right? So think about that as you are doing that, because successful people think differently. And successful people surround themselves with other successful people. I mean, if you think about, Jay-Z and Beyonce, are they hanging out with people who aren't, going to try to be like the best? No. So think about that. And sometimes you just have to hit a reboot, right? You just need a refresh. You need to step away from your current situation and just say, okay, what do I need to do? And how can I go? I surrender the outcome. I know what's meant for me will not pass me by. And I just need to just start right now. And I always say, start where you are with what you got. Okay? What do you got? What do you got to start with? And one of the things that I been working with a lot of clients on is giving them daily tips, daily interactions where they're able to have that. They tell me what their goal is, and each and every day I give them a little tip, a little guidance to take them through 45 days so that they're feeling like, and when you think about, we all have GPS in our cars or on our phones, and you know how like you're driving along and the little voice says, make a right turn in 500 feet. That's me. I'm working with clients to be that guidance, that voice that's sitting right here in your ear telling you, hey, you're going to make a right here, you're going to make a left here, we're going to do this, you're going to do that. And it's a step-by-step detailed plan. So if that sounds of interest to you, do me a favor and go over to my website and, read all about that. So I am just about out of time. What I wanted to do is just let you guys know that I'll be back again in September, and we're going to we'll be back again in September. You can find me at fabfitsquad.com. You can find me on Instagram at Kim Jefferson Coach. You can find me on Facebook as Kim Jefferson. And I hope you guys have a fabulous day. And if you guys have any self-doubt that might be popping up for you at all, I want you to really kind of take note of this and be able to figure out a way, like, how do I break this down? How do I make these small goals? And if that's something that you need some help and support with, you can always reach out to me on my on social media, but you can also reach out to me at my email, which is squadleader@fabfitsquad.com.